This is Rajsekhar Polapragada. The the book I authored, Successful Management Styles of India. I have started this audible version of this each chapter, partly to explain the content of the chapter, partly to generate interest among the readers. What exactly is the story of the management in India and how it is different from rest of the world. So I often used to say what works in India may work outside the world, and what works outside the world may not necessarily work in India. The management is situational, people oriented, and of course it depends on the resources available, the past history of the country, and the attitudes of people. Now, that's the reason why we have different leadership styles. The leadership style which is successful about 1,000 years back may not work today, and what works in the Western world may not work in India. It depends on how the people react to others and what kind of priorities they have in their life. Some would look for freedom, and some would look for survival, and others would look for the truth and some other human values. So, the Maslow's theory of hierarchy of needs is the motivating factor for a human being, and that's what decides the leadership style. Now, what my book Successful Management Styles of India deals with is, prior to 1991 economic reforms, the Indian companies have evolved a strategy to how to go about, and the same strategy, if it is used after the reforms, they will not be successful because of globalization. The extent of economic reforms also decides the strategy for the business leaders. Now, recently, the COVID-19, popularly known as the coronavirus, has changed the game. So, a successful manager, not only in India, anywhere, has to change his style based on the situation. So that's why I just add a corollary to Peter Drucker's management theories, saying that management is not just people oriented, management is situational oriented leadership. So with this background, let's go to my 7th chapter, where we discussed about the management in an Indian family run business house. I have not given the name of the business house. It's not very difficult to know because they're in the top 10 of the Indian entrepreneurs. And don't try to guess whether they're 1 or 10, but the type is family run business. Like a family has a human values, or the business houses also have the values, business values, which run in their family. Tatas, Birlas, Mafatlals, Bombay Dyeing, Vadias, TVS, JK, so Singhanias. Several family-run houses are there. So also the family-run houses, business enterprises are there in US. Ford, you know, uh, and the industrial revolution, as it started a century, or I would say 1.5 centuries before in US, they have slowly converted the family run business into the mega corporations. And though individuals have started like, given credit for their companies, like Bill Gates is given credit for Microsoft, and Steve Jobs for Apple, like that. Even Larry Page for Google, and now Bezos for Amazon. But still, the business is run as a MNC, that is multinational corporation. In fact, the globalization has impacted the employee structure, where they have to have a common employee norms, okay, which is not the case in a family-run business. So, in my book, I dealt with a family house. Not necessarily all the families are in the same. The reason I have mentioned this is the coming volumes, how the successful management styles are established in India. The volume 2 covers about half a dozen companies which have got a potential to be the world leaders. Now, in the first volume, we are only talking about what is different. So, the difference is India has got a past which is different. So, many countries don't have a long history like India had, thousands of years. So, India had illustrious leaders running back into the epics of Ramayana and Mahabharata. So, even as 1,000 years before the Muslim invasion, India was almost the world leader in economics, arts, science, and many other fields. Astronomy, the Ayurveda, the science of healing, so yoga. So, what I was telling is that this 1,000 years of foreign rule has impacted the old knowledge, and like the new water replaces the old water, the new technology, new innovations, new rulers, they all have influenced India, and it's very difficult for us to go back and then find out in a river the quality of water which existed about, say, 100 years back, or in the distant past. However, being human beings, we should always remember the past and learn from the past lessons so that we can face the future problems. Coming back to the family house, I have joined this company about a decade back, and I was instrumental in completing a mega project worth about $2 billion. Even today, any project worth more than $1 billion is considered as the mega project. So, about 10 years back, a $2 billion project is big enough to learn the lessons from. And also, the management run by family houses have got a family values, so also the business values. Let's see what is this business house can offer for successful Indian management styles. It all happened about 2007, end of the year. The sun was not very bright, and the winter has not set in. The summer is behind us, winter is ahead of us. That's the time when I met Gordon. Gordon is the project director for this mega project, and I was to be recruited as head of process. So we met in